Hey there, fellow YouTubers. This is a demo of the Ridgid 378 tubing bender. This bender retails for about $450, but if you look on eBay, you can usually find a used one for much less than that. I got this one for less than half the price. Now, this bender can be used to bend either M, L, or K. I would not recommend bending M type copper. It's a little too thin, but definitely L and K. Now, I am going to be bending a piece of K copper, and we'll get to that in a bit. But if you bought one of these, either new or you just used, and you're not sure how to open it up, like I was at first, it's pretty easy. You just open this, squeeze the handles together, and now you can move this, right? So you want to move it to this position to get ready to bend. Now in order to bend, right? If you just want to bend, you don't really have to measure. But if you do want to measure, and you need a bend at a specific location, then you can measure from the end, from really either end, and say that you want 12 inches, right? Or let's say you want 12 inches, to bend at 12 inches. I'm going to mark my bend here at 12 inches, roughly. That's my mark. So what this is going to do is 12 inches will be the distance from the end of the tubing to about the middle of where it bends. So let me see if I can find something to illustrate this. Just bear with me. Alright, so if I mark it at 12 inches, then when I bend it, I should have 12 inches from the end of the tubing all the way to about the midpoint of where that bend ends up. So ideally, this is what will happen if I make that mark and I do this correctly. So where do I put the mark? This wasn't evident in some of the videos that I've seen, but if I'm measuring from the end, right, from where you're standing, if I'm measuring from the right, then the mark should be at this 90-degree mark right there. Let's see if I can see that. So you'll be able to see, if you can see that, there's a 90-degree mark on the tool itself, right there. It's upside down, so it looks a little funny. So if I'm measuring from the right end, I put it at the 90-degree mark. If I'm measuring from the other end, like this, for example, I need to put it on this R mark. There's an R, that's an R. So let's do it that way. Put it on the R mark. I'll lock this in place. And lock this down here. Make sure that my mark is lined up on that R. And we'll get to bending. Now this is a ratcheting bender, so all I do is move this until, remember this is K copper, so it's the thickest one you can find, K Ridgid copper, so it's a little hard to bend. So I want this arrow, and I'll show you in a bit, that this arrow should hit the 90-degree mark. That's how I know I've gotten to 90 degrees. One more to do it. Which maybe a little bit more. for good measure because it will spring back a little bit. So that mark I was talking about is right there. This arrow is pointing to the 90 degrees. A little further, because when I take it out, it's going to spring back just a bit. And now I release it. I don't know if this is because it's a used tool or what, but the releasing is not always easy. It was easy today. And then I just pull this out. And there is a perfect, pretty much perfect 90-degree bend. Now, there's no crinkling. It's very smooth. This is what I wanted because I don't want to have to put a joint here, and that joint causes turbidity in the water. Excuse me. So what I was going for was 12 inches, right? 12 inches this way. So let's go ahead and measure. See if I got this right. So it's 12 inches from about the center, right, which is right here, to the end. And I'm about an inch off. So I don't know if that was because of my marking or if that's because of the tool. But it's very close. It may take some trial and error to get this right. But that's how you use this tool. A little disappointed in that 12 inches. But close enough for what I want. Hey guys, I'm back. So after going back and looking at the video, I did forget to mention one thing. Well, two things. One, I went back and looked at the video, and I think my tube may have moved a little bit, so that may explain the 1 inch difference. But also, one of the things I wanted to do for this tubing is to bend it into kind of an S shape, right? Is what I needed. But because of the size of the tool and because of the way the tool bends and where the components are, the maximum distance, or the minimum distance really, between the low point or the midpoint of the low part and the midpoint of the high part is going to be about 12 inches. So if you need something less than that, this tool may not work for you, right? So it's about 12 inches. Now what I'm going to end up doing, I think, is cutting this tool, cutting here and here, and then making that smaller and just putting a joint here. But to me that's better than having a joint here and here, because I'm going to have another piece on the other side that's got two other joints. So I'm going to essentially reduce my joints from 2 to 4, or from 4 to 2, and then this will be a straight joint versus a 90-degree joint. So I'll get a little bit better water flow. This is for a water main. But just a note that with this tool, about the minimum distance you can have between bends is about 12 inches. Close enough for what I want. I hope you guys found this useful. I'll go ahead and put the link to the actual manual from Ridgid under the link section, or in the description section, and that explains a little bit more of how to do this in detail. But to me, it always helps to have a video. That's why I went ahead and did this. Hope it was useful. Thanks, guys.